Hello, my friends. Dr. Mandell here. Today I'm going to share something extremely important for anyone over the age of 60. There is one common vegetable that may be increasing your risk of stroke, blood vessel damage, and high blood pressure, and most people eat it almost every day, thinking it's harmless. I want you to understand the science, what the research shows, and how to protect yourself while still getting the benefits from this vegetable safely. Stay with me to the end. This can potentially save a life. Spinach. The vegetable we've been told our entire lives is the symbol of strength, vitality, and health. Doctors praise it, nutrition books worship it, and for decades, millions of seniors across the world have added spinach to their plates, believing they were protecting their hearts and arteries. But what if a silent danger has been hiding in plain sight? What if one of the most celebrated vegetables could increase your risk of stroke after age 60? This isn't fear. This isn't myth. This is biochemistry. This is vascular science. And the research is forcing us to rethink what happens inside the aging body. Because when the decades begin stacking up, the body changes. The kidneys slow down, circulation becomes more delicate, and blood vessels lose elasticity one day at a time. And that is exactly when a harmless nutrient can turn into a toxic burden. Spinach is extremely high in natural compounds called oxalates. Oxalates bind to calcium molecules inside the body. When they join, they form microscopic crystals called calcium oxalates. Now imagine millions of tiny razor-sharp mineral fragments traveling through your bloodstream, scraping against the lining of your arteries, irritating the endothelial cells, triggering inflammation signals, and laying the foundation for plaque formation. Study after study shows that endothelial inflammation is one of the earliest precursors to stroke and cardiovascular disease. The European Journal of Nutrition documents that diets high in soluble oxalates significantly increase the risk of calcium deposits in arterial walls. Oxford University researchers found that chronic intake of high oxalate foods elevated systemic inflammation markers and interfered with nitric oxide signaling, reducing blood vessel flexibility. And when arteries become stiff and inflamed, pressure rises, clots form, blood flow changes, and a stroke becomes more likely. After age 60, your filtration system becomes less efficient. The kidneys, your primary defense, can't process oxalates the way they once did. So instead of being flushed out through the urine, more and more oxalate crystals circulate longer in the bloodstream. Think about that. The vegetable that you believed was protecting your arteries may slowly be contributing to microdamage inside those same arteries. The journal Kidney International reports that nearly 80% of all kidney stones are calcium oxalate stones, yet most people assume the risk stops at the kidneys. But researchers now warn that oxalate crystals don't just stay there, they can migrate, deposit, and accumulate inside soft tissues, including the vascular system. And when deposits form inside arteries, the consequences are devastating. Plaque builds faster, arteries narrow, blood pressure climbs, and when the vessel walls can't take the pressure, they rupture. That is a stroke. Silent calcification is one of the deadliest forms of vascular aging. You rarely feel it. There are almost no warning signs, until one day a clot blocks a cerebral artery, and it happens in seconds. For seniors, this is terrifying because oxalates are absorbed rapidly, especially when spinach is eaten raw. Smoothies, salads, juices. These concentrated forms deliver large doses straight into the bloodstream within hours. And unlike sodium or sugar, oxalates do not dissolve easily. They crystallize, they accumulate, they embed deep within tissues. Harvard researchers discovered something unsettling. Just 1 cup of raw spinach contains nearly 656 milligrams of oxalate, more than 600% higher than low oxalate foods. A daily smoothie with 2 cups of spinach? That could deliver more oxalates in one drink than your aging kidneys were designed to process in an entire day. And for those already experiencing mild kidney impairment, a condition affecting nearly 50% of adults over 60, the danger multiplies exponentially. When calcium oxalate crystals pierce the lining of blood vessels, immune cells rush in to repair the damage. This immune response triggers inflammation. Chronic inflammation stiffens arteries. Stiffening leads to elevated systolic pressure. Elevated pressure creates microtears. Calcium accumulates over the tears like cement, and slowly, silently, a pathway towards stroke begins. For decades, spinach was praised for its nitrates, believed to strengthen blood flow. And yes, nitrates can produce nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels. But here's the twist researchers now warn about. Oxalates impede nitric oxide signaling. So the very vegetable people consume to boost nitric oxide may simultaneously be blocking nitric oxide production at the cellular level when consumed in excess. Seniors unknowingly fall into this trap. They think more spinach equals more heart health. So they add another handful, blend another cup, buy supplements packed with dehydrated spinach extract, and without realizing it, stroke risk rises meal by meal. This does not mean spinach is bad. It means the aging body responds differently to concentrated oxalate loads. The same serving that posed no danger in youth becomes a vascular threat after the kidneys weaken, after endothelial defenses slow, after nitric oxide production drops naturally with age. Researchers at the Cleveland Clinic warn that calcium oxalate deposition inside arteries may be one of the most overlooked drivers of stroke risk in older adults. Not cholesterol, not fat, but crystals, microscopic mineral shards, formed inside the bloodstream from seemingly harmless plant compounds. Imagine if millions of seniors are unknowingly consuming the very trigger that accelerates their vascular aging. Imagine if the vegetable marketed as heart healthy may quietly contribute to arterial damage when the kidneys can no longer handle oxalate processing. Every sip, every salad, every smoothie becomes another deposit, another microscopic wound, another crystal lodge in a vessel wall, and stroke risk isn't theoretical. The American Stroke Association reports that strokes affect 1 out of every 4 adults aged 65 or older. What if diet plays a greater role than previously believed? And what if one simple change, understanding oxalates, could prevent thousands of strokes every year? Awareness is the first step, understanding the science is the next, and respecting how the aging body processes foods is the most important, because what nourishes one system can injure another when consumed recklessly. Spinach remains a nutrient powerhouse, but after age 60, moderation becomes survival. The goal is not fear, but wisdom, knowing when a nutrient crosses the line from beneficial to harmful. The same weapon that builds strength can wound when wielded carelessly. We must listen to the quiet warnings of science. We must respect the body's changing needs, and we must understand that even the healthiest foods require balance, especially in the later decades of life. Stroke prevention begins long before symptoms appear. It begins with choices that protect our arteries, safeguard circulation, and reduce silent calcification as we age. And sometimes the most powerful protection comes from questioning what we thought we knew, and letting new science guide us towards safer habits, healthier lives, and longer futures. Raw spinach. It looks innocent on the cutting board, a delicate green leaf bursting with chlorophyll and nutrients. For decades, nutritionists have praised raw spinach as a superfood, pushing smoothies, salads, and juices as paths to longevity. But the human body after 60 is not the same vessel it once was. The kidneys filter slower. Blood vessels stiffen. Metabolic pathways weaken. And suddenly, what was once harmless in youth can begin to accumulate silently. When spinach is eaten raw, the oxalates inside it remain fully intact. Unlike cooking, which breaks down and leaches out some of these compounds, raw spinach sends the full oxalate load directly into your system. Scientists from Harvard School of Public Health have measured spinach among the highest oxalate-containing vegetables known. When consumed raw, oxalate solubility increases, meaning the molecules dissolve rapidly in the gut and are absorbed more efficiently into the bloodstream. And when absorption increases, the consequences grow. In the aging bloodstream, oxalates search for minerals, primarily calcium. When they bind, they form calcium oxalate crystals. These crystals don't float harmlessly. They circulate, they lodge, they irritate. They cut microscopic grooves through delicate endothelial tissue lining the blood vessels. Biomedical researchers call this phenomenon endothelial injury, the first step toward atherosclerosis, hypertension, and stroke. A single raw spinach smoothie can contain over a gram of soluble oxalates, enough to overwhelm filtration mechanisms in older adults with reduced kidney function. Most seniors already experience reduced glomerular filtration rates without knowing it, a natural consequence of aging. The National Kidney Foundation estimates 1 in 3 adults over 60 has impaired kidney filtration, often undiagnosed. This means oxalates remain in circulation longer, increasing the likelihood of crystal formation and deposition. And it doesn't end there. Raw spinach smoothies pulverize the cell walls, releasing even more soluble oxalates into a form that can be absorbed almost immediately. In this blended liquid, oxalates travel rapidly across intestinal barriers into the bloodstream. What used to take hours now takes minutes. The arteries become the battleground. The Journal of Nutrition warns that elevated serum oxalate can trigger inflammatory cascades, prompting immune cells to swarm the damaged vascular lining. That inflammation reduces nitric oxide production, compromising the vessel's ability to relax. Blood pressure rises. Every heartbeat now pushes harder against stiffening arterial walls. And the risk factors compound. Calcium oxalate crystals accumulate in tissues over time. Researchers have detected oxalate deposits not only in kidneys, but also in arterial plaque samples collected during autopsy studies. These aren't theoretical risks. They are microscopic realities happening inside aging bodies. Seniors, trying to follow health trends, unknowingly load their morning smoothies with 2 cups of raw spinach, combined with almond milk, another high oxalate ingredient, and berries, completing the perfect storm. The intention is health. The result may be biochemical stress. Many people assume plant compounds are automatically beneficial, but nature hides duality. Compounds that protect plants from predators, worms, and insects, like oxalates, can become irritants to human tissue when consumed in excess, and raw consumption delivers these compounds in their most potent form. When we cook spinach, something profound happens. Boiling and steaming can reduce soluble oxalate levels by nearly 50%. The heat and water break molecular bonds, allowing oxalates to drain away. But raw spinach bypasses this protection. Seniors often choose raw spinach precisely because they think it preserves nutrients, but they unknowingly preserve the oxalate danger as well. Few physicians warn patients about oxalate exposure unless kidney stones are present. Yet the stones themselves are the final stage of accumulation. Before stones form, crystals circulate invisibly, depositing gradually on vascular walls. Think of arterial calcification as a silent snowfall, one microscopic flake at a time. The snow keeps falling until one day the weight collapses the roof. A stroke is that collapse. Raw spinach consumption accelerates that snowfall for some aging adults. Scientists at the Cleveland Clinic have found that oxalate crystal formation correlates strongly with vascular calcification risk, especially in individuals over 60 with declining renal clearance. Even a small impairment in kidney filtration multiplies the time crystals remain in the bloodstream, and the longer they circulate, the greater probability they embed into soft tissue. Many seniors notice subtle symptoms without connecting them to foods: unexplained joint aches, cloudy urine, flank discomfort, elevated blood pressure readings, recurring headaches. These signs could suggest systemic oxalate load, not yet a kidney stone, but early biochemical stress. Yet society tells them spinach is harmless. Eat more greens. Drink more smoothies, juice daily. But the elderly body needs caution, moderation, and respect for physiological change. The body's filtration system is not infinite. Years of oxidative stress, medication use, and reduced kidney perfusion limit its ability to eliminate soluble toxins and metabolites. Raw spinach is not toxic. Its nutrients remain valuable, but the concentrated oxalates delivered through raw preparations create a risk uniquely magnified by age. Researchers studying dietary oxalate exposure conclude that seniors should diversify leafy greens and avoid daily intake of raw, high oxalate vegetables like spinach. What we assumed was a ritual of longevity may instead accelerate vascular aging. Seniors dedicated to protecting their hearts may unknowingly undermine that effort one smoothie at a time. And the biochemical chain reaction is brutally simple. Raw spinach, soluble oxalate absorption, calcium oxalate formation, vascular inflammation, arterial stiffening, increased stroke risk. Each step compounds in magnitude. Each choice builds upon the previous one, and the tragedy is preventable. The danger lies not in spinach itself, but in failing to respect how radically absorption changes when consumed raw, especially in blended form, especially in aging bodies with slowed filtration. Imagine thousands of older adults believing they are nourishing their hearts while microscopic crystals circulate unchallenged, slowly compromising the very vessels they are trying to protect. That is the silent paradox hidden inside raw spinach consumption for seniors. In youth, the body flushes these compounds efficiently. After 60, inefficiency accumulates into risk. Preventing that risk begins with awareness. Raw spinach is powerful, but power requires caution. Seniors must understand that the body at 60 cannot metabolize foods the way it once did at 25. The same portion can produce drastically different biological outcomes. Raw spinach smoothies are not always the path to health. They may be the quiet trigger accelerating vascular decline in susceptible individuals. And the most dangerous threats are not the ones we see. They are the ones flowing silently beneath the surface of our veins, forming crystal by crystal, meal by meal, until one moment changes everything. Most people believe the danger ends when we identify the risk. But the truth is more complex. The body is resilient, adaptable, and willing to heal if we give it the right tools. Seniors don't need to fear spinach. They need to understand how to outsmart its hidden threat, because the same oxalates that damage arteries can be neutralized with simple science-backed habits. Habits that could mean the difference between healthy blood flow and vascular catastrophe. Cooking spinach changes everything. When spinach is boiled or steamed, the heat weakens cellular membranes. Oxalates dissolve into the cooking water and drain away. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that boiling spinach for just a few minutes can reduce soluble oxalate levels by up to 53%. The difference between raw and cooked is not subtle. It is biochemical transformation. Seniors who choose cooked spinach instead of raw may cut their oxalate exposure in half without changing anything else. And that reduction could lower the risk of calcium oxalate crystal formation dramatically. Imagine millions of microscopic crystal fragments disappearing before they even enter the body. The pot of boiling water becomes a shield against vascular injury. This is not guesswork. This is measurable, replicable, documented science. Another protective strategy is equally powerful: pairing spinach with calcium-containing foods. The logic is extraordinary. When calcium is consumed alongside oxalate-rich foods, the minerals bind together inside the intestines rather than inside the bloodstream. Bound in the gut, these complexes pass harmlessly through the stool instead of infiltrating circulation. Researchers at Harvard Medical School confirmed that dietary calcium lowers absorption of soluble oxalates, reducing urine oxalate levels significantly. Seniors worried about kidney stones or vascular calcification may benefit from simply adding yogurt, cheese, or milk to meals containing spinach. This is nutrition as biochemistry, food as prevention. The calcium does not dissolve the oxalate, it redirects it. A microscopic traffic diversion, protecting the arteries from future injury. But many seniors unknowingly sabotage themselves. They believe almond milk smoothies are a healthy choice. Almonds are extremely high in oxalates, compounding the load delivered by raw spinach. The combination may overwhelm weakened kidneys in aging adults. Yet pairing spinach with calcium-rich dairy or plant-based calcium-fortified foods prevents absorption where it matters most, at the intestinal wall. The danger never reaches the bloodstream. Another strategy: rotate greens. The elderly body thrives on diversity. When seniors eat spinach every day, the oxalate exposure compounds steadily. But replacing spinach several days a week with lower oxalate greens such as kale, arugula, bok choy, or romaine lettuce dramatically reduces the cumulative oxalate burden. Researchers analyzing dietary oxalate patterns found that frequency matters more than portions. Even a normal serving becomes dangerous when eaten daily without variation. Rotation interrupts the accumulation cycle. It gives the kidneys space to recover, flush, cleanse, and restore balance before another oxalate load arrives. The aging pancreas, liver, kidneys, and colon rely on periodic relief, not constant chemical pressure. Every break from high oxalate foods is one step away from stone formation, arterial calcification, and inflammatory vessel damage. Hydration completes the defense. Water increases urine volume, diluting oxalates, and flushing them out before they bind to calcium in the urinary tract. A study in the Clinical Journal of American Society of Nephrology revealed that seniors who drink at least 2 liters of water per day significantly lower kidney stone risk, slowing oxalate precipitation. Water becomes a silent filter working around the clock. It protects tissues, reduces saturation, and helps crystals dissolve before bonding with minerals. Every sip is a microscopic sweep of the bloodstream. Every glass resets risk. Seniors cannot rely solely on medication or supplements. Their best defense lies in understanding the chemistry of aging and working with the body, not against it. Cooking spinach breaks bonds. Calcium redirects oxalates. Rotation prevents accumulation. Hydration flushes waste. These are not trends. They are physiological interventions grounded in science and logic. Many seniors feel betrayed when they learn that a celebrated superfood carries hidden risks. But the truth is not betrayal, it is empowerment. When we understand the mechanisms behind food interactions inside the aging body, we become capable of choosing differently and living longer. A stroke is not a random event. It is the final breaking point after years of silent biochemical stress on the vascular system. Microscopic injuries accumulate until the body can no longer compensate. But if the injuries stop accumulating, the system stabilizes. Healing begins. A cooked spinach meal paired with calcium may not only reduce oxalate risk, but also deliver valuable vitamins like folate and vitamin K in safer form. Seniors can still enjoy the nutrients of leafy greens while protecting their arteries. The narrative shifts from fear to strategy, from helplessness to control. When the body ages, the margin for error grows thin. A dietary choice that poses no harm at 25 may weigh heavily on the kidneys at 65. The goal is not perfection, but precision. And precision begins with awareness. Imagine a senior making one small change, boiling instead of blending, and unknowingly preventing oxalate accumulation. Imagine another replacing 3 spinach salads a week with arugula, relieving kidney stress enough to prevent stone formation. Imagine simply drinking 2 extra glasses of water per day, lowering oxalate concentration enough to prevent arterial deposits. These small interventions stack together, creating a wall against risk. The tragedy of stroke and vascular disease often arises not from dramatic triggers, but from silent accumulation, choice after choice, meal after meal. The miracle of prevention may emerge the same way, through steady, intelligent daily habits grounded in physiology. When we understand the mechanisms behind our foods, we can reshape our biological future. Aging does not have to be surrender. It can be strategy. It can be mastery. The body does not betray us. It speaks. And when we listen, we discover that even the dangers hiding inside the healthiest foods can be neutralized with wisdom, science, and small, deliberate acts of protection. The message is simple, yet profound. You don't need to fear spinach. You only need to respect it. Spinach is healthy, but after 60, your body processes nutrients differently. Too much oxalate increases calcium deposits, inflammation, and vascular damage that can raise the risk of stroke. So remember, cook it, pair with calcium, avoid daily raw spinach, rotate greens, hydrate, make smart choices, protect your body. I hope this information blesses you and your family. I'm Dr. Mandell, wishing you great health, happiness, and many blessings.